World Vision provides the room and sends out invitations, but we organize everything else. Children stand up in the meetings and talk directly to their parents about their experiences at home. Then we discuss how parents can react in either violent or non-violent ways when their children make mistakes. Many of the parents have sadness in their faces. They talk aggressively to their children, calling them names. Damn kid. But during the workshops, they sometimes begin to change. Some of them think they have to beat their children to make them behave. But when they realize that beating can also drive a child away and onto the streets. Our friend Joanna used to write phrases for peace in his notebook, and his father would get drunk and see them and rip them up. Then he would beat Johnny. One day, Johnny wrote down a prayer for his father to stop hitting him. The father saw the prayer and he changed completely from that day. I am now 16 years old. My family still lives in two small rooms in Soacha, and we are still very poor. But because of my work and experience, I have traveled to many other countries. I have been to Europe, to America, to Panama, and to Venezuela, and even to New Zealand. People sometimes ask me, how can you do this? How can you cope with seeing how rich people live, staying in luxurious hotels, and then returning home to such poverty? How can I cope? Because my home is my home and I have my family and friends that I love very much. A hotel is only a hotel. The people we meet on the way are what really matters. In the beginning, I only really cared about helping people to improve things for people in Soacha. I now know that our problems here are connected to many others outside our community. I think that if we work to change things in Soacha, we can stop our problems from spilling over into other communities. The same applies to Colombia. We have to deal with problems here to stop them from overflowing into other countries. When Farless, Juan Elias, and I appeared on television in Panama, we said that the children in Colombia are struggling to make peace so that the children in Panama will not have to suffer as we have. A few years ago, I have had a recurring nightmare. I was running very fast, and ahead of me was a huge cauldron filled with a boiling yellow liquid. I didn't know what the liquid was, but I was about to throw myself into it. Then someone whom I recognized in the dream, but in reality I didn't know, grabbed me by the hand and wouldn't let me fall. He forced me to stop. Even now, I can't remember every detail of his face. At first, this dream scared me because I was afraid that something very bad was going to happen to me. It doesn't frighten me now because, perhaps because I believe there will always be someone there to help. Beto, 16, falling in love with life. 18 months ago, my eldest brother, Freddy, showed up at our house in La Libertad. A poor community in Medellin. It was the middle of the night. He was drugged out of his mind and in deep distress. They're going to kill me, he was murmuring. I know they're going to kill me. He wouldn't tell us what happened, but there had been an argument between him and a gang in our neighborhood, and now they were out to get him. He seemed full of grief and regret, as well as fear that his days were numbered. He wanted to roll back time and make it better. He came to us because there was nowhere else to go, but he knew that they would come looking for him at our house. He left that night, and although we sometimes hear news of him, we haven't seen him since. Freddie is my brother, but he's like a stranger to me. When he was a baby, my mother used to leave him with a friend of hers, while she went to work. One day, this friend, we can call her Gloria, told my mother that she wasn't going to give Freddie back. My mother begged and pleaded with Gloria and her family, but they insulted her and told her that she wasn't fit to be a mother. The police got involved, but they didn't do anything. My mother tried to discuss things calmly, but Gloria's husband attacked her with a machete. She didn't see Freddie again until 3 years ago, but then he was by then he was 27 years old and messed up into gangs and taking drugs. He had a young daughter, but he didn't treat her right. Some days he gave her everything she wanted. Other days he whipped her. He had no control over himself. My mother lost Freddie long before I was born, and I know it must have affected her badly. Maybe that was when she began to have a problem with alcohol. She never managed money well either. She had other children, some with one man, and then with my father. But both of these men abandoned her. My older brothers and sisters did nothing to help. As they grew older, they started dragging her down. Everyone piled criticism on her, on each other, and on me as well. I am the youngest in our family, and for a long time I was at the bottom of this heap of suffering and violence. A lot of kids living in families like mine end up joining a gang or fighting in the war. Most are looking for a way out of the pain they suffer at home, but they end up with something that is much worse. I managed to escape that fate because despite all the sadness and violence in my home, I grew up feeling that I could get through it all and make a good life. I know my mother has problems, but I love her and respect her. At last, she is a good friend to me, but it wasn't always that way. After she lost Freddie, my mother brought Herman to live in our house. I don't know where she found him, but she adored him as if he were her own son. He was 9 when I was born and was a menace to me when I was growing up. He always made me feel uneasy and insecure, and sometimes he hurt me. As a teenager, he began stealing, first from us and then from the neighbors. Eventually, he was caught, and when I was about 8 years old, Herman was sent to Bella Vista jail. For a few years, life was fine for us. But when I was 10, Herman came back. Prison had made him much worse, and my life had become a nightmare. He beat, tormented, and terrorized my sister, Milena, and me. We never, we were never safe at home alone with him. But we didn't tell our mother that was what was happening. Herman threatened to beat us if we told, and my mother seemed to love him so much that for a long time I didn't know if she would believe us. At school, I became a pest. I did anything to cause trouble. I messed around with cockroaches, shoved them in kids' faces. I killed everyone's names. The teacher with stuck out teeth was Crazy Fang. The math teacher's first name was Guillermo, but I called her Guillermo because it sounded like a gorilla. I talked in class, made silly noises that got everyone snickering, dropped books, or suddenly laughed out loud for no reason. I didn't care if a teacher or student was talking. I did anything to disrupt the class. When my mother beat me, which happened often in those days, I screamed my lungs out. Afterwards, I wrote messages to myself in a secret book, dramatic statements like, I am going to leave home. I know I can get on in life. Although I was miserable at home and school, I always believed that someday everything would be okay. I don't know why, but I am known to be stubborn. Once I get an idea, I can hold on to it no matter what anyone says or does. I knew that running away wasn't the answer to my problems, Life was even tougher on the streets. I found other ways to escape. Around that time, a cartoon series called Zodiac Nights was playing on television. I played solitary fantasy games based on the show, and I always took the part of the heroic swan. The swan had fabulous feathers, bronze armor, and it moved with powerful grace. Like him, I possessed incredible powers that I had acquired at the North Pole, the diamond dust that froze my enemies to death, and I defeated Athens from the forces of evil. The swan's mother had died during a terrible shipwreck in one dramatic game. I was about to be killed, but like the swan, I took out a rosary that my mother had given me and thanked the gods for giving me such a wonderful mother. Because of that prayer, the cosmic forces gave me strength to win the battle. In the show, when the swan wanted to visit his mother's tomb, he had to crack the ice and dive into the depths of the cold, dark sea. I used to think,